What's up, Fortnite fam? Sundown here, and today we're going to answer the question, what is meta? Everyone is always talking about the term meta, but what does it actually mean, and what does meta look like in Fortnite? Meta is actually an acronym for the term most effective tactic available. But what does this mean in practice? Meta, at its core, is utilizing the tools and strategies that make it easiest for the player to succeed. Utilizing meta minimizes the burden on the player to feel like they need to make ridiculous plays and allows them to maximize their efficiency. So what has the meta been in Fortnite, and how have we gotten here? A lot of the initial innovation started around building, with credits to Myth starting off the trends of 1x1s and building up for high ground advantage. From there, the building aspect really took off, and we saw so many great leaps in player tech and innovation. From Symphony and Mr. Savage's incredible edit plays to the advent of coning other players in order to get an advantage, we've seen the meta around building shift dramatically from the beginning. However, building isn't the only place where tactics are ever evolving. We've heard of the spray meta, which was dominated by high rate of fire weapons to create pressure. We've also seen the wall buster or Thwifo meta, where players utilize heavy sniper, double barrel, and hand cannons to violate the previous safety of their opponent's 1x1s. And we've seen tons of additions to mobility, allowing players to constantly come up with new and innovative ways to rotate around the map. With players finally getting their sea legs under them in Season 8, we've seen huge developments in the meta. With the addition of ballers, geysers, cannons, and the volcano, there's a ton of new strategies developing that players are taking advantage of. And let's not forget the flint knock, that is just now starting to be utilized in very cool ways to gain an advantage.
We see Steen's able to utilize this flint knock to get up in mobility, and he gets a high ground behind him.
We're excited to see what else Season 8 will bring, and who will finally crack the code to find the most treasured meta.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Luxe Cup. We're getting ready for NA East action. Golden Boy Sundown here. We're going to call the fun, and it's going to be a good time here. We got some great players. We had some great matchups yesterday on NA East, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing if the East Coast is, in fact, the Beast Coast. Like that.
I absolutely loved it. We've seen high-quality gameplay coming out from there, and normally we talk about how it comes down to every match, every point counts, every victory route points. We saw it coming down 4 tiebreakers into EU. We've already crowned 3 regional champions. Brazil actually has been moved a little back in the time spot, so they're going on about midway through right now. NA East as well have had about an hour and a half to queue up, so we're going to start grabbing some of those matches and getting you guys into the games as fast as possible.
That's right. So we should talk about EU real quick, because I did see on Reddit that people were a little confused about a couple of things, so I think that it should probably explain it. So Osmo and Milan, they tied it everything with Mongro and Mitro, but Mongro and Mitro still won. And why was that, Sundown?
So Osmo and Milan had actually ended up playing one more games, and looking at the Luxe Cup official tiebreakers, the way it goes through, it's total points scored, they were tied there, and then total victory routes in the session, tied there, they both had 1. Total eliminations was then 61 points. So now the rest of their points were scored basically off of the play, or only off of the placements, and then as it comes through, the average points per match which ends up equating to the lower placement, which was that fourth one. So reading through the rules, it's average placement per match in the session. Because of the average points going through, playing one less match, that means their placements were mathematically better, breaking that down. So it's the difference of just staying in the server a little bit longer, being slightly more efficient with your use of that time in the matches. And you know, a lot of players talked about, well, like, hey, if you're not able to play all 10 of those matches, you're not maximizing efficiency. In this case, it ended up being more beneficial to them, right? It's owning that one of those tiebreakers in there. And the difference being, if Milan and Ozma had clutched out one more of those victory royales, they would have got it. If either one of them had had one more elimination, if just one more point, it picks the first and the third tiebreaker. So
that's nuts.
Every single one of these interactions matters when you get down to it. So let's check and see how these players are scoring the points.
That's right. So it's very simple here. A victory royale will net you +3, but we might as well start from the eliminations, because for every elimination you manage to snag yourself 1 point. But then from there you get into top 12. You get 3 points for going into top 12. And then after that, each placement that you hit, so top 7, top 3, and then the victory royale is added on top of that. So that means that you can come out with a game with 10 points and whatever eliminations you manage to accrue. So benefits those players that like to get hyper aggressive, that like to just go in there and just slay it out. But it also, of course, as always, placement is king, vital points. And then they're going to be playing for the prize money here. $5,000 for NA East goes for first place. Second and third take home $3 grand. Fourth and fifth take home $2 grand, and then so on and so forth. And you know, I think that for a lot of these players, while the prize money is great to have, you know, you can pick up some nice skins and stuff, right? Maybe take your mom out to a nice dinner. Who knows, right? Be good to your mom, kids. What I think this is more important is the lead up to the Fortnite World Cup. Millions of dollars up for grabs, and for a lot of these duos, they're going to be prioritizing the duo section of the competition. I've seen a lot of folks being like, I don't even know if I'm going to go solo. I might just do only duos and then see how I do. So lots of pressure for these players here to perform very well, place within like the top 100, prove that you have what it takes, and then of course continue to improve for the Fortnite World Cup. Yeah, that's what they're looking for. That is in 2 weeks, April 13th and 14th, for that first online open qualifier. And if you're just joining us, we've changed how we're jumping into the matches. So we pull some of these full server replays, then we go in from Circle 5 onward. So this is a little bit of preview of some of the matches we're looking at jumping in. And don't forget, if you're playing on Sunday, we could be in your matches. And if you have any friends or streamers you know who are watching, let us know when they're on screen. Drop their emotes in the chat. Tweet us out saying like, hey, I saw my boy, he did something sick. It was really cool. Let us know, because we want to see those moments. We want to show you really awesome Fortnite gameplay as much as we can, getting through these games into the end game and just showing what it's all about. That's right. We've had some great matches, man. The EU side of things has been amazing for finals, but then yesterday, NA brought the Thunder, and we had some great games there as well. And I know we're going to be getting ready to jump into the action as soon as possible. And once that happens, we're going to be off to the races here. Look forward to seeing how some of the big names are going to show up here. I believe Bizzle and Demo will be in this group, so these are some of the names that you'll be recognizing. But let's just jump right into the action. It's now time to start our first game of the day. And we find ourselves over at the snowy Alps of our beautiful island. And for our current in-game leaders, we got Jojo Pion, Noob, Paroa. You also have Godkicks, and Tim Burt took your girl. Timber out there. Timber took your girl. Okay, well, no, Timber. He took my grill. Took your grill. I bought a really nice one last week. I was wondering where it went. Timber, you really gotta stop stealing people's grills, dog. But let's see here, as these guys are pinned up against the storm. This is that gatekeeping we were talking about. CRS shots immediately coming out and then converting that into a knockdown. Can they pick up the elim? Now, look in the bottom right-hand corner. We're down by Happy Hamlin, about as far south as these circles can go. So these rotations are going to be very dangerous. A lot of kind of variable terrain, but sometimes these mountains can be difficult to build at. As Jojo, great shot coming out there, Golden Boy. And I also did like the placement of that floor above him, just to make sure he didn't get shot from above, and also gave him that little added coverage that he would need. He had his teammate having his back. They were able to immediately remove that ramp, and then from there it was just a wrap. That was just really well well done from them. And that's going to be 5 eliminations for JoJo and his teammate Trav here. So that means 5 points on the board, but they're not quite there yet to placement. We have a long way to go. 29 duos still going, 51 players in this server, Sundown.
And one thing I do want to talk about is the difference of expected play around the ballers between EU and NA. Generally, we see NA favors safer rotations, utilizing those ballers, any vehicles they can, to just get the placement points. EU, on the other hand, we saw them constantly taking shots, not letting them rotate through. So I'm interested to see how much of that carries over. Because yesterday, while we had 1 or 2 pretty baller-heavy games at the end, but as the action gets picked up, Trav gets picked up right there by Mullen.
I can't believe Trav went in there and just tried to push that fight, and his teammate's going to be right next to him as well. And now Malon's going to try and hold this one off, going to be down 47 HP. Try and force his way through here. Trav ends up getting eliminated, and as well as JoJo Pion, that was the player that pushed that Malon. Good job from him, picking up 2 eliminations for his trouble.
Yeah, and it was actually really good that Malon was the one to get both the confirms there. Otherwise, he would have been hurting. Yeah, was so hurting. Getting that siphon going off that allows them to hold on to so much of this utility they have here, Golden Boy. Look at all those potions.
They have so many survivability items. Those ballers down low, you saw those look like they were getting banged up quite a bit, but now we're going to zip on over here to Lags and Bellis. Lags just picked up 2 of his own there onto Disrupt, and I believe his teammate there, and nicely done onto Baydog. Baydog unawares.
And he's doing this with a blue tack right now. Doesn't even have a pump. Some players like to kind of knock on it a little bit, but when you're this close to this tight quarters, we talked about the running joke is you kind of have to be able to smell your opponent for the tack to actually do damage to them. But when you're this tight on top of players, he's able to put it to good work, picking up 3 or 4 elims there. But Opsa traded out for a pump, but Sway Kenny taking him out there.
Yeah, Sway Kenny had his number up above. I'm just going to say this, Sundown. I'm a tack boy. Okay? I know people will judge me for that, and I'm okay with it.
I'm not against it in the early game. I like the high rate of fire there if I can't execute on the quick swap or the opponent doesn't give it, but otherwise definitely got to give the 1 pump.
I'm just anticipating that I'm always going to miss shots. That's just, so the faster I can fire,
well,
the better.
these guys don't have to worry about that. As
not.
you see Bolt looking up and so many targets in the sky, as you see players opting to utilize what utility they have. Kid Developer going down there. Bolt, somebody we talked about the other day, making a name for himself as he takes out Tannery as well. That's 2 knocks from the sky.
Oh, the rocket, the explodes. The legendary rocket launcher just destroys that structure, deletes that player. And now Bolt will continue to have the ultimate high ground here alongside his teammate Netzer. And that's another one as well. Just pops right on in there to do some damage, but he's going to be so weak. 18 health there. Does get that elimination though onto Kid Developer, which is going to bring him back up a little bit and give him an opportunity to reset.
And he should have a second one coming through, hopefully to top him all the way up, but also going to use the campfire and the mini, so if that conversion comes out. But a rift that was, no, that was his. It was his teammates. Yeah, it did get confirmed. He had a rift previously in the utility bar. I'm not sure why he decided to do that, though, because he was pretty safe on that side. I think just looking for that circle rotation as we move back over the hamlet.
All right, well, look at the carnage continuing to take place in front of our eyes. We got Nifty as Trog. We saw Nifty earlier on. Repping the Trog, well, he's going to be able to beam one player right there with that legendary pump. That gun so powerful and puts it to good use. Just going to reset a little bit here and just take it easy and just try and hold this off. He does find a couple of targets in front of him, but he's not going to try and get too crazy just yet here. He wants to just get into his spot, but he will be a little bit safer if he wants to take an engagement.
Yeah, and Bolt is very low on this mid-tarp, as is Synops. They're looking to try and catch somebody in a wall that they do not own so they can get a quick play. I actually am very scared of an RPG use here because it could go up, but he gets it on the level 1 crook. Level 1 crook back to lobby, but dropping down, has the chug jug right there, not going to be able to get it off. The confirm will give him a little bit of more off the siphon as Bolt finally gets cleaned up, and we're into the top 12, so everybody getting 3 placement points as well.
Synops does not have any shields, but doesn't care because Synops is going to push the fights and does manage to pick off 1 to give him that added help. But look above us here as we do have that clash for the ultimate high ground. We have Timber, we also have Felix, and they actually opt to drop down low, and they're going to go to that like more mid area there. And I think one of the other players we saw earlier on was going to be hanging out above in the ultimate high ground. But here's Timber, who took the grills. He's looking to take the W's here with his teammate Felix.
Yeah, and now we're into top 7, so 5 placement points for everyone. 9